Good morning, guys. Welcome to my Monday morning rant for Monday, the 18th of July, 2022. So, I finally started going on my little writing piece for the Signature Sound Anthology project. So, Leslie, a good mate of mine, and his two good mates have invited me along to this writing community, and it's been really awesome to be a part of it. And they are launching their first project, being an actual book that will come out in time for Christmas. And I've been published in books before, and I've published books before, but it's never really been about writing. It's mostly been about other creative endeavors, you know. So this one is purely about writing, and there's about 9 of us, I think, involved in the project, that have put our hands up to take a chapter each, and we're all being invited to give our response to the question. What do you sound like when you speak? What do you sound like when you speak? It's a really good question. My first initial thoughts to that were like, I don't know, the 80s when I was a kid and I got my hands on a cassette recorder at some point. And when I recorded my own voice and I heard it back, I hated what I sounded like. I think a lot of people have gone through that, right? Like the first time you ever hear your voice back, it doesn't quite sound like what you thought you sounded like. And that was my initial thought, an answer to the question. And I suppose after being a graphic designer for so many years in my career, part of my creative process is to get shit out as quickly as possible so that you can work on the better stuff. In other words, like, just say I'm doing a logo design for a client. All the horrible ideas will come into my head first. The really obvious ideas, not necessarily horrible, but just, cliche, obvious, too easy. And I'll get those ideas out just so that I don't have to think about them anymore. So it's better out than in, right? So my process is to get the shit out first. And once you get that shit out, then you can start to work on more complicated and interesting concepts. And so my initial thought of recording my voice as a kid and listening back to it, I mean, that was just the first thing that came to mind. Then I started thinking about whether I could use the analogy of maturing on the guitar, playing the guitar. I mean, I've been playing the guitar since I was 16 or something, and I'm 47 now. So the journey that I've had with playing the guitar it's so massive, and there's so much change along the way. Where I used to dream of playing, the fastest, heaviest, most ridiculously technical guitar solos of all time, basically being a shredder. I, over time, have just slowed down my playing, and I'm not playing heavy metal guitars anymore. I'm playing Strats, and they're curvy edges, not sharp edges like a heavy metal guitar. They're simple hardware, not locking trems and whammy bars and lock nuts and none of that. No humbuckers, and it's just less is more. And it's taken me, a lifetime to figure out that you can't buy tone, and you can't buy what comes from experience. And just how I got into guitars so hard last year. Like, it's always been an on and off thing, right? I've never played the guitar consistently since I was a teenager, but I picked up the guitar really hard last year, and it's gonna sound a little bit weird, but I definitely feel like I learned more in a year than I'd learned in 30 years of playing the guitar. It's trippy as fuck, and um, I think last year when I was playing the guitar, I really set myself a goal of learning new stuff as opposed to just being in that comfort zone of playing the same shit over and over again and just jamming to stuff when I was drunk. And I really put effort into learning new stuff, and then I used some of that new stuff and recorded some shit and put it out there, on YouTube and stuff. And one particular thing that I like to do is test myself, and I use Reddit as a way to either bring myself pain or joy. It's something that I do because Reddit is a really, really savage. I would call it nasty in how blunt and open and honest it is. There is no filter on Reddit. No one cares about you. No one wants to care about you. They just want to bash out the first thing that comes to their mind, and they want to see through you as well. That's Reddit. Reddit is the internet. You can't lie because fucking Reddit will know that you're lying, that you're full of shit. Reddit is, in my opinion, really nasty place. So I posted up on Reddit a little video that I made of a very low tempo, painfully low tempo blues, just a simple blues riff and a little solo over the top of it. And the post made it to the front page. It blew my mind at the time, and I'm still getting comments on it every now and then. Got a few hundred comments, and just last week on the video itself, I had a comment from a guy to say that he said something like incredible playing and the way I was bending my notes, and I've had people say I have good phrasing, which I never even heard of when it comes to guitar playing. That phrasing is a thing, and it's kind of mind blowing that this 1 year of playing has made me realize, above all, that the guitar tone that I've been chasing for so long, it's in the fingers, and it's not in a guitar pedal or a guitar amp or special effects of any sort or post-processing. And even up until the beginning of last year, I was spending big bucks on guitar pedals that were being sold as having amazing tone, or even guitars being sold as having amazing tone, or pickups on a guitar having amazing tone. And there's just so much snake oil out there, right? Like, it's out there for everybody, and it's just everyone falls for it at some point on their journey to finally figuring shit out. You fall for this shit, you buy into it, and it's taken me 30 years to realize with the guitar that tone is in the fingers. And it's funny because that Reddit post, I loved all the comments from the older dudes who were in the same boat as me, but there were a whole lot of young kids on Reddit too, and a lot of young kids were asking how I got my tone, or they were just asking the community, like, how does he get his tone? How does he get that tone? And I swear that guitar was just plugged straight into the amp, and it was my fingers that were doing the work. And it's also true and obvious that I've seen footage of amazing guitarists play an $80 piece of shit guitar and they sound fucking amazing, right? So everyone knows of that one person that has all the gear in the world, but they're still pretty crappy. And I know photographers that have, like, they're gearheads, gearheads. They gotta buy the latest thing. You gotta have the latest and the greatest, but it doesn't mean it's gonna make you any better, right? So yeah, I've known that all along, but knowing and knowing is they're two different things. Like, when you know. Like, when you really know, and you don't even want to argue with anyone anymore. So the argument of, is tone in the fingers? Well, the dictionary definition of tone has got nothing to do with your fingers, really. It's more about the signal, and yeah, it sort of suggests that it could be the amplifier or the guitar or the strings or mostly guitar effects or whatever. But I strongly believe that the tone is in the fingers, and I would never argue it with someone, because chances are the person that I'm arguing with just hasn't figured it out yet. And it's just a life thing in general. Like, I just find that I'm clicking so much better with people in life that have gone through shit. And I'm finding it really difficult as I get older to hang with people who have a lot to learn, because I've still got a shit ton to learn, but I've learnt a lot. And when I hang out with people that have learnt a lot, it makes me feel so much more comfortable, and like I'm with the right tribe. And yeah, there's been a bit of that going on with the gaming community that I'm involved in. I've left my Diablo clan and I've joined another one, and there's been some dramas there. I don't even want to go into it, because I don't think it's worth talking about. But I'm gonna leave it at that, because I didn't actually mean to talk so much about what I want to write about. But like I said, I've put a draft together. It's really manic. It's a bit of a mess. It's not artistic, or as artistic as I thought. I kind of wanted the piece to be. Like, I wouldn't mind writing some poetry or doing something more emotional, but I also think it is what it is. It needs a shit ton of work. The concept of being part of this community is that I'm going to have 3 guys that are like my mentors that will help me shape this to be ready for the book by Christmas. So yeah, I've put it up. I've shared it with the group, and now it's about just basically working on it and shaping it, and getting it right. And who knows, maybe the feedback that I get is just totally shit and start over again. I'm totally open. I'm not precious about it. So I'm going to be doing more of that. Oh, and by the way, like, when I started writing this, it was such a relief to actually finally start fucking writing, because I've been thinking about writing for weeks now. And when I started writing it, I got obsessed with it to a point where I just couldn't put it down. And that switch is so much harder for me to flick now, because it's almost like I'm cautious about flicking it, because I don't want to go crazy and get lost in something unless I've thought about it and it's going to be worthwhile or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But man, when I flicked that switch, I could not stop writing and refining and deleting and criticizing myself. And I just kept bashing it. It's almost like that blank canvas, right? It's like you got a blank canvas with the blinking cursor that's trying to get you to write. And then when you do start writing, you have these blocks and blocks and blocks of text. And then you you read it on another day, and then you're just like, oh fuck, I hate that, and you just delete it all. And then the next day you're like, fuck, I wish I didn't delete that, because I suppose that's how most writers probably have revisions and stuff like that, but I don't, because I'm not a writer. But yeah, it's a lot like an art canvas as well. It's the same shit. You bash away at it. You have little goes at it. You make new strokes, and then sometimes you know when to stop. Sometimes you don't know when to stop, and you fuck shit up. And it's the same thing with graphic design. This process, it is just the creative process, and I don't do it when I'm gaming. So I suppose what I'm coming around to, and what I'm trying to figure out here, is like, I am an artist, and I just haven't been creating much. And so it's just really nice to be creating again. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I hope everyone has an awesome week. I've got lots to do. I still have a logo to design for Julio, the rap artist, and I have photos to edit still for my Patreon, and I've got this piece of writing to work on, which I'm excited about. So yeah, I will leave it at that. I shall catch you guys in the next one. See yous.